In a previous episode, we crafted some steam engines, used a mechanical crafter, and crafted ourselves a jetpack. Which means we're now somewhat of a speedy boy and, well, we can fly. We then took the elevator to the top of the mountain, where we built our very first tree farm. We made use of gantry systems for different types of trees, and we even made use of the traditional rotational tree farms, but we had to turn them off for now. I got some really great comments in the previous video, and we're going to build on that. We're going to use some of the comments to improve this lumber mill and, well, make this place finally look like a lumber mill, where we're going to have storage for our logs and even process some of those into stripped logs. So the idea for this area is that if you run up here, you enter into the lumber mill over here, which is in the front of house. We will have a structure on this side that I think I'm going to use primarily for storage because it's more off to the side. And this building over here, we're going to push back a bit close to that saw that we will fix later in this episode, but then have like a lumber yard over here, and we'll do some of our processing in this area. And by processing, I mean stripping the logs and getting the strip variants automated as well. And after the lumber mill structures are built, we're going to work on some belt work and changing up these machines a little bit and improving on them, because I got quite a few nice comments and there's some really neat ideas in there. So we're going to see to implementing some of the stuff. Because we want to put a building in this area, we need to do some landscaping over here. Just cut all of this back and just get this area looking neat. And then we can start looking at structures. So this should be roughly enough area space for the structure. And I think we also have most of the materials needed to build this building because we added a brick factory. And that's going to make this so much easier. So I'm going to grab all the resources and I'll meet you guys back here. So while I'm over here collecting bricks for a build, I thought, why don't I ask you guys to subscribe? See, only 12.3% of all my viewers are subscribed and the rest of you are missing out. So go on, hit the subscribe button. I know you want to. So I took the liberty of adding the platforms along, and what I did is I marked out where the building will be. It will sit from this corner all the way to the corner there by the dirt, and I left a little walkway around the two edges over here. And I think the only thing left for us to do is to actually just get this build built. And how we're going to do that? Well, you guys are going to sit back and enjoy as I do a montage. Here we have the first building finished in this area, and walking up here, it looks so cool standing over here, and it needs a little bit of more of leaves and stuff around here and a bit of decor. But I think what we need to do is build a second one, and we're going to do it in that area over there. But I'm not going to do it again myself. No, I've never used the schematic cannon before, and I think it's time we use the schematic cannon. So I'm going to get everything ready. So I do believe this is everything we're going to need. We're going to need a schematic cannon that will be placing the blocks for us. We're going to need the schematic table, and then I just added 2 chairs on either sides. This will just be the inventory for the blocks we're going to use to build. So what we do is you craft yourself an empty schematic, and if I put it in here, and then I already created a bunch, but if I say lumber workshop final, that's the last one, and I just say click, it will instantly write this to a file. And what I can do now is I can see where this build needs to go. So I've already marked out where, so we can try and position this as close as possible. So now that we positioned it, now we can move it, because this log is where that red wall should be. So looking at this, we just hold down control and we can scroll this forward. And if we go to this side, again, just control and scroll this way. And this should be exactly where it needs to be. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. One thing I'd like to mention is I know it's very close to this machine. We will move that afterwards. And the second thing is it won't do the frame blocks, so it's just going to place the frames. We just have to go around doing those manually, but that's a minor little problem. So I think I'm happy where this is. And what we do now is now we go into this and we chuck the schematic in and it's paused and it's going to show itself as here, but it's just a little hologram if you want. Now I need to craft another item real quick. So I craft myself a clipboard, and if I go to the schematic cannon and I put the clipboard up here, it will do a little bit of thinking. And if I take it out and right click, it gives me a list of exactly all the materials we're going to need for this build. So I think I'm just going to go grab everything, put them in the chest and see if we can get this done. And after a couple of minutes, if we look at the list, we've got practically everything on here. This block, I don't know where to get it because it's basically just two double slabs on top of each other. So it might not place those, and we'll just go around filling in those manually afterwards. And what we do now is we open our schematic cannon, we fill it with gunpowder because that's our fuel. And I'm just going to go to the printer settings, and I'm going to say we need to replace solids with empties, and I'm going to say skip missing blocks. And once everything's ready, we're just going to push play and it will slowly start to place all the blocks. So let's see if we can do a little sped up video of this. And we have both our workshops in. So the first one on this side and the second one over here. And I spruced up the area by changing out the grass for coarse dirt and just some dirt variants. Add a little wall and fixed all the frame blocks that weren't showing. And I think this area is starting to look like a lumberyard. Yes, sure, it has still a lot of things that need to happen, like flower beds and partitioning, maybe a stack of logs or two, and some contraptions. But I think with a build like this, the easiest is not always to start building your machines and getting from there to the end point, but rather the end destination, and then we connect everything from there to the end. So what I want to do is I want to use this area as the storage room, and I want to have items come in from that building into this side and from the farm in general into this side. So we need to plan out our storage in this area and just fill it up and see where we go from there. So the one thing I know for certain is I want to be able to turn the farms off, and I'm not going to use vault system, I'm rather going to use drawers. So what we need to do is maybe be able to read the drawers quantity and tell it to turn off farm. So for that, we're going to have to think we're going to need a redstone link attached to a threshold, which means our storage will be in this area over here. And then I'm going to do it like this because we've got 8 tree types. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can double stack our drawers like this. So we've got our 8 different types of logs over there, and then we also have 8 different saplings, and then the same with the stripped logs and all the other stuff like sticks, apples, bananas, and things we get as well. So this will be our general storage. So I know it takes away a lot of space, but I think it will just make it out look a lot cozier. So the next thing we want to do is we want to have the input on either side. So if we have an input from this side running over here, we're going to have it come across until we reach the center point, and in that center point we're going to do a draw controller right over there, which will then have a funnel pointing into it like that, and on the other side we'll do exactly the same with a funnel pointing into that as well. So we're just going to repeat. So now that we have our 2 inputs that will go into the draw controller, we need to link these with some trims. So we'll just go down like this. So now all of this is linked, and we'll just link them again on this side, just to make sure that whatever goes into the controller will be distributed into these 4 sections of 8 drawers each. And yeah, it's a bit messy at the moment, but this gives us a rough idea of what can happen. So now items will come in from this side, run all along the belt, run across the top into the input and go to the allocated storage areas. So I think what I need to do now is maybe just start looking at getting this looking a little bit better. And the storage room's done. We got our input line coming into this area. We're supporting it with some girders, and that will then run onto that belt, distribute into the controller, and just go into its right spots. And the same from this side, we have another input. So 2 inputs, and I think it's looking quite snazzy. I do want to maybe later on add the frame blocks to this area as well, because it's also a wooden structure, kinda. So I might do some more storage and maybe some benches over here, or even on this area. But for now, I think this is looking good. Now it's on to the next part. So we ready to accept logs and they'll go into their areas, same with saplings and all the other bits, but we need to look at doing the whole strip variant of stuff, and that's where that building comes in play. So what I want to do is I want to have a bunch of machines over here stripping the different log types, and from here sending it over to the storage room over there. So I think we need to build this. So I've gone ahead and I determined my point of entry. So we will have items coming in from this side. And in the end, we're going to send items all the way to there where they go across into the storage room. So what we need to do is get items from up there all the way down here and from here onto a belt, which will then stretch across this area like this. And then from this belt, as soon as the items drop down, we can do that. We need to get them onto separate belts that will transfer them to their own line where they'll get processed. And from the processing line, head on over to the line that goes to the storage unit. So what I think we need to do is we need to just first block out where we think what will go. And I'm just going to do it with these logs because we've got a total of 8 logs. So if we say we do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 like that. So I think that's the perfect position for all the machines. So we'll process 2 types of logs over here, 2 types over there, 2 types over there, 2 types over there. In this area, we're going to replace these with andesite casing. So what's going to happen? Items are going to go on this belt that we temporarily removed back there. We want to then let them go into barrels over here, and the barrels will just pick them up. So we'll shift click so items go inside. From these barrels, they get transferred onto a belt system, and we'll have funnels coming out of those. Then they'll go straight into a saw like that. And from this, we'll then transfer them over to a belt that'll run around the front of this, that will pick up these items and later on send them up to the storage input. So this is the basic for what the design looks like of each of these units. So every single one of these machines are in. I added their little filters, what they have to make, and on the back side I added the little filter that says which log goes into which. So this all should work. We ended up opting for brass funnels because they've got filters just for that part, and we used the normal andesite funnel on the front side because this will allow for one item to go out and onto the saw, which will then output to that side. But the big thing now is to get power to this thing, and what I did is I actually just added a bunch of water wheels under this building again, and from here we're going to just transfer power all the way up to that belt over there. But we also need to bring in power into this area to power that. So this one's relatively easy. That will just be a normal gearbox, and we just do a gearbox over there. And if we do that, what direction does that turn? That's the wrong direction. So what we can do is we can just drop down here, and we're just going to inverse this and just make it on the top, make all of that turn the right way. So that's fantastic. That's been sorted. And if we just then run up like this over there, that's turning the wrong way. So I think what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to rip this out, add another one of those, and then just inverse the power of the rotational wheel again, and that will fix that and make the top belt run the right way. Much better. That's going the right way, and that belt's going the right way. But now we need to get power onto this system over here, and what we can do is we can just do a normal gearbox right over here, and if we add one of those, see, that's not going to work, so we're going to need another gearbox. So we're going to have to do a gearbox over there, which is perfect. That's turning the right way. But the very important, we can't just use in case chain drives to transfer power to this, because we need this to turn the opposite direction. So we're going to do a cog over there and a cog over there, and now that's also going the right direction. And we just now finally need to power this belt over here, and then I think everything should be fine. So if we do that And let's just see if we add a gearbox over there. There we go. It's sorted. So now all of this is working, and we only have to do that one gearbox over there to power this whole belt, and that's perfect. And now we can just use some andesite casings, and we can just encase some of these, just make this look a lot neater. We can add one over there. Yeah, that's perfect. So I'm just going to go around repeating this whole process that we did over here all the way 3 more times to get all of those sorted. And now everything's connected, everything's turning, that belt is going, it's only stopping right over there. But I think we can maybe do a test, and I've got a bunch of mangrove logs in my inventory. I did, however, notice I never add the funnels on these. And what we're going to do is we're just going to chuck the mangrove logs in this barrel, which is the right one. It works. They go through, they get sawed, they go up, and then, well, they'll drop down there, but eventually they'll make their way into the storage room, which is good. I'm so happy about this. And I've decorated this whole area a lot more. I will add a few more details, but there I've got some test logs going over on the conveyor belt, making their way into the system, and we can see this value is actually climbing up, which is great, which is fantastic news. But I think the next thing we need to do is I'm quickly gonna, between this and the next clip, just make sure I sort out all the planters and all the trees, get the machines up and running and ready again. Okay, hear me out. I might have gone a little bit overboard. You see, I decorated as well. I added everything, I added the storage, connected it all up, and it's been running for quite a while. It's insane. It's been going ham. We've got everything. We've got our lines coming in with all the stripped logs. We've got our normal logs going in on that side, and it's noisy in here. But it's working. It's working. We've got these piles of lumber just lying around, and I love these. These are my favorite. And I used the big buttons from Framed, large frame buttons, because they look like wheels of wood just lying around, which is fantastic. And as you guys can see, everything's connected now. It's all going in here. This area, I think I want to change these platforms a bit, just change them up a bit. I want to reduce the cherry because it's clogging the system. But everything is in its place, and it's looking quite nice. And we've got all the items feeding into this one central point and gets distributed from here into the stripper or into the storage room. But I do, however, have a question, and I would like to know what you guys feel about it. It's the grass over here. See, currently I just left all of this grass, and I don't know if it's maybe a little too green, and if I should rip it out and replace it all with variants of dirt, like coarse dirt and some of the chip dirt. That's my question for the week. What do you think? Do you think we need to replace all the existing grass with coarse dirt or dirt variant? Or what's your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. So that is it for the lumber mill, and it's looking fantastic, and I'm really glad we got around to it, and I think it just ties the whole area together. But sadly, it's going to be all the time we have for today, and it's been a fun little project, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So do head down to the comments, answer my little question, grass or dirt, and do remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.